Hi everyone, Kim here at Olive City Homestead, Northern California, Zone 9B, and this is my permaculture homestead. I'm constantly adding new perennial plants, trees, and growing a food forest and enjoying this, well, simple gardening life. So in today's video, I'm going to be bringing you another seed haul, but a different kind of seed haul than usual. I've never even seen one of these before, but I recently decided I wanted to experiment some more with tropical and subtropical plants, so I did a seed order from Trade Winds Fruit. I have bought from them before. Their seeds have always grown beautifully, so I ordered 10 tropical and subtropical seeds that I can't wait to share with you. Many of them you can grow even if you live in a much colder zone than I do. Whether you grow them in the ground or in containers that you move inside to a greenhouse or a grow room somewhere a little warmer in the winter, these types of plants and trees can really support our permaculture lifestyle. And they're fun. Now, my last video was 2 weeks ago, and in it I introduced to you my new baby chicks. They were so cute, and in 2 weeks they have grown so much already it's hard to believe. Their feathers are coming in. They're still cute, but they're sort of in that awkward teenage stage at the moment, and I will give you an update on them at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's get on with it and look at all these great seeds. So the package came just a couple of days ago, but I saved it to share with you guys. It's been raining non-stop here, and so, I've been working out in the garden in between rainstorms, and it's still really cold. In fact, I've got my blanket out here to keep myself warm because it's only about, I'd say, 48 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit right now, which, around here is cold. So first up, the Jamaican cherry. This is Mutingia calibura, and sometimes it's called the Jamaican strawberry tree. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you've probably seen a couple of my strawberry tree videos because I do grow strawberry trees. However, they're the more common trees that are called strawberry trees. The Arbutus unido, Arbutus marina, Arbutus andracne, a couple others. And I grow the unido and the marina. These came from Greece and other areas in Mediterranean Europe, as well as in, say, Ireland. And they grow very well here in my Mediterranean climate. Now, a few people have commented on some of my strawberry tree videos that in their country, for instance, Albania, they have a tree known as the strawberry tree. And those are not the arbutus trees. And in this case, the Jamaican cherry tree, that isn't the case either. So don't be confused. I guess if a tree produces fruit that's deep red and maybe has that seedy appearance on the outside, people tend to call it a strawberry tree. Now, the Jamaican cherry is perennial in zones 10 to 11 in the ground. So here I'm going to be keeping it in a container and either protecting it somehow with cloth or mini lights in the winter, or moving it somewhere warmer right next to my house maybe, or in a greenhouse. Now, the Jamaican cherry is native to Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean, but it does grow well anywhere you get a lot of sun and warmth in the summer. And its fruit tastes like cotton candy. I have sampled it, and I agree with that common judgment. The Jamaican cherry is a fast grower. It likes full sun. Maybe here where it gets so hot, over 110 Fahrenheit regularly in the summer, I will probably put it where it gets afternoon shade. It likes a well-draining soil, but it's not particular as to the type of soil. Once the fruits appear, they ripen in 6 to 8 weeks. And an interesting fact about them is that if you pick the fruits, they're not going to keep ripening after you pick them, so you want them to be fully ripe before you pick them. Fruits are different that way. We have things like tomatoes or pears, and after we pick them, they can continue to ripen. So we might pick them early to prevent, say, the birds or other pests from getting them, and then let them ripen in our home. That's not the case for other fruits, and so fruits like the Jamaican cherry need to be left till fully ripe on the plant. The Jamaican cherry is high in vitamin C and antioxidants, as well as being strongly anti-inflammatory. This is one of the main reasons I'm growing them, in addition to their wonderful taste. They have really pretty ornamental flowers, and they're self-fruitful, which is fabulous. They only take 1.5 to 2 years to start fruiting, so that's another great thing, because some of these plants take 5 or 6 years before they fruit. This one, no, this one you're going to benefit from really soon if you grow it. So yes, that's the Jamaican cherry at number 10. Now these aren't in any particular order. They're not, best to worst, worst to best. These are all great seeds. But just to keep track of them, I'm numbering them. And next up is number 9. And that is the carob tree. Now, probably most of you have eaten carob before. If used in the right way, it's really delicious. Both as a substitute for chocolate that's lower in fat and has no caffeine, but also has its own unique flavor. Now, carob trees, or Serotonia siliqua, are hardy all the way down to 20 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So I am definitely not going to have to move them anywhere in the winter. They'll do just fine here. They like full sun, although again, in my really intense heat of the summer, I'll probably give them afternoon shade. Everything pretty much seems to do better with that. And the two things they don't like are acidic soil or overly wet soil. Now they grow a small to medium-sized tree, and they are one of the ones that take a while to produce a seed crop, 6 to 7 years in fact. But I think they'd be well worth the wait. The trees themselves are gorgeous and are fairly drought tolerant too. They germinate quickly if you use fresh seeds. If you use dry seeds like I'm going to, you have to soak them first and they take a little longer, but they do grow well. One thing about them is they're dioecious, meaning you need a male and a female tree to produce fruit, kind of like my mulberry trees here. So I'll be growing several of these trees to ensure I end up with at least one male and female. I've baked with carob in the past and absolutely loved it, and I want to experiment with making other things from it, including a hot drink. Number 8, strawberry guava. Now I have several different types of guava trees, including the pineapple guava, which is closely related to the strawberry guava, but they taste very different. The strawberry guava is hardy down to 22 degrees Fahrenheit or a -5 Celsius. They're native to South America, especially Brazil, and they have a similar red kind of peeling bark to my strawberry fruit trees, my Arbutus unido and your Arbutus marinas. Really pretty. They have a shallow root system and prefer a rich, loamy soil. Now, these trees can grow pretty tall, 15 to 20 feet, but I like to keep my fruit trees all pruned down at 6 to 9 feet level, so they're easy to harvest from, easy to prune, and I don't lose as much of the fruit to the birds. These seeds apparently take 4 to 12 weeks to germinate, and once the fruit appears, it takes 90 to 150 days, so 3 to 5 months to ripen. The fruits are a delicious, acidic-like strawberry flavor, so I cannot wait to grow these myself. I have tried them and I like them. Their scientific name, Psidium catalanum, or something like that. Number 7 is the Capullin cherry, Prunus salicifolia, and this one is hardy down to 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So definitely can be overwintered in many places in the US and around the world, but again, you can grow it in containers. Like the strawberry guava, it has a shallow root system, so you do want to protect trees that have shallow root systems from strong winds. I will probably plant this down at the bottom part of my garden where I have a storage building to the north of it, which will protect the tree from the strong north winds we sometimes get, and yet not keep it from getting full sun. The Capullin cherry is a very fast-growing tree, and you get fruits within 3 to 5 years. It likes good drainage, and it is propagated very easily from cuttings. So if you end up liking this fruit, you can grow a lot of these trees very easily. The fruit is sweet, though slightly bitter right near the skin, and it's said to make an excellent jam. I've only had it fresh, and I liked it fresh, but I have come to really appreciate in the last couple of years making jams from all sorts of fruits, and I look forward to doing so with this one. This tree has white, fragrant flowers, and the fruits are deep maroon. So very pretty in your garden or perennial food forest. It even keeps some of its leaves in the winter. It's not completely deciduous. Number 6 is the cherimoya, and you might have heard of this one. It's been kind of popular with some gardeners recently, and for good reason. It's a delicious fruit. It has a very large, creamy fruit, up to even 5 pounds. It is a little more difficult to get going. In fact, it can take from 1 to 6 months to germinate, so that's going to really challenge my patience, but I'm going to go for it. It usually begins bearing fruit 3 to 5 years after you've sown it, or I would guess after it actually starts growing. And it can grow in any soil, though it does prefer rich, well-draining soil. The cherimoya is related to the custard apple, and so somewhat similar in flavor. And after the fruit is pollinated and starts growing, it takes 5 to 8 months to come to fruition. And here in California, it usually has a harvest ranging between November and June. Sort of like citrus, but a little longer lasting. Now, the really challenging thing that I've read about, but of course I'm not sure if it's true because I haven't done it myself yet, is that you have to hand pollinate this tree because the natural pollinator, some kind of beetle, is not living here in California. Perhaps it lives where you are, though. I'm not really sure the name of this beetle, but probably to be safe, you should hand pollinate if you want to get fruit. Now, I spoke of the relative of the cherimoya being the custard apple, and number 5 is the custard apple, Annona reticulata, or some pronunciation like that. Now, the custard apples are related to sugar apples. They have red skins and pink flesh that are said to taste like a combination of apricots and wild berries. I did find that was true. It kind of reminded me of my strawberry fruits, but sweeter and less gritty. So I think that while the strawberry fruits are great in smoothies and as jam and frozen as little balls that you pop to eat, these have the advantage of being fabulous fresh as well. The trees naturally grow, without pruning, 10 to 15 feet tall, and they're hardy down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So they can withstand an occasional light frost, but anything more than that, you better take them inside a greenhouse or garage somewhere a little warmer. Their ideal summer temperature is between 73 and 93 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm definitely going to be growing these somewhere where they get sun until, early afternoon and then shade because it gets way too hot for them here. They can be grown in a container with well-draining soil and do very well, and that's what I intend to do because their taste is amazing. Next up, we have number 4, and that is the date plum, or Diospyros lotus. Now, the date plum is also known as the lilac persimmon, and it is in the persimmon family. It's native to Southwest Asia and Southeast Europe, not native to America, like its close relative, Diospyros virginiana. Now, the virginiana variety is known to be sweeter than this one, but I've tried both, and I like them both. They both have their own unique flavor. This one tastes more like a combo of prune and date, and I want to grow them so I can dry them and use them as dates, including grinding them and using them as a substitute for sugar, and just all kinds of fun experimental things in my baking. When it comes to flavors of fruits, of course a lot of it is subjective. People have different opinions on what fruits taste like, and you'll have people saying, oh, this fruit is so bland or bitter, where someone else will say the same fruit tastes great. Why is that? Well, there are a lot of different factors, and some of them relate to the climate they're grown in, how much water they get, what kind of soil they're grown in, and what kind of, say, rootstock they're grown on if they're grafted, and many other things. However, one of the big things I've noticed, in addition to personal taste, of course, is that people often pick fruit before it's ripe. This is very much the case with things like the strawberry fruit tree, for instance. I can't tell you how many people I've seen in real life and on YouTube who think that as soon as they start turning red, those fruits are ripe, and that's just not true. They actually have to go a very, very deep red and be very soft to the touch. In fact, they're most ripe and best tasting as soon as they fall to the ground, if you can catch them before the birds do. And many other fruits are like that. Some fruits need to be bledded, basically taken to a rotten form to taste delicious. That's like my medlar, which tastes like a wonderful cinnamon spicy applesauce when you bled it, but before that tastes awful. Some fruits, like olives, you have to cure, or you couldn't possibly eat them because they're so bitter. Others, you need to cook first. And then again, some, just depends on how ripe they are. So with the date plum, if you take them before they're ripe, they are not going to be good. And in fact, they do benefit from some bledding like the medlars. Having grown and experimented with the medlars, I'm more than willing to do the same with these date plums because, as I said, I've tasted them and they're wonderful, in my opinion. Also, they're highly anti-inflammatory, which is great for my arthritis, and are very high in antioxidants. So quite healthy for you. They're a little slow to sprout, 2 to 4 months, so another one that's going to try my patience perhaps. And they are another tree that's dioecious, so I will need a male and a female, so I will be germinating several of these trees to make sure I get one of each. After it gets growing, it has light green blossoms when it flowers, and it grows pretty fast. So that is the date plum. So we've made it to the top 3, and they are super interesting plants I'm really looking forward to growing. The first, number 3, is 3-leaf akebia, Akebia trifoliata. Now this is also known as chocolate vine. So akebia is a climbing vine that produces 4-inch really sweet fruits that are kind of a blue-purple color and have a creamy, sweet texture, tropical-like, a combo of bananas, medlars, pears, with a hint of chocolate in both smell and taste, most people think. These seeds you need to cold stratify for about 4 to 6 weeks before you sow them, and they do need more than one plant, not male, female, but more than one plant to cross-pollinate. One great thing about the akebia chocolate vine is that it is hardy down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So a lot of you can grow this out in your own backyard. Number 2, Job's Tears. You may have heard of this one. It is a grass, and its seeds are used in many ways, including as a grain, but also eaten just as they are, or ground and used to make coffee or tea. The qua lacrima, as it's known scientifically, grows naturally 4 to 6 feet tall. The seeds need to be soaked 1 to 2 days before you sow them, but they germinate in just 1 to 4 weeks, so you don't have to wait too long. This plant is hardy down to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, so zone 9. You can plant it as containers and take it into a greenhouse, or you could grow it as an annual, because I think it's well worth it. Not only are these seeds super healthy, high in protein, fiber, and minerals, low glycemic, so a very healthy alternative to rice. It can also be milled and made into a flour, can be cooked sweet or savory. It's said to be like a chewy oatmeal, but with a nuttier taste. The one time I did have this, that's how it was cooked, and I loved it. One thing I found out as I researched this seed, though, that I find absolutely fascinating, and I'm definitely going to try myself, is that the seeds can be used to make jewelry. Now, when the seeds first grow, they're teardrop shaped and a beige to coffee brown, but as they dry, they turn this pearly gray color, almost with a bluish tinge, and they have a natural little hole in them, which you can use to make jewelry. And I have seen some examples of this, and I think this would be such fun to do and really my kind of jewelry, so definitely going to go for it. We are up to number 1, henna. Now, henna doesn't produce a fruit, but it has 2 great uses. One you're probably very familiar with, and that is as a dye. And so it can be used to dye tattoos on your body, or maybe in your hair. I might give that a try. Also, it's highly medicinal. It's been used for a long time to combat headaches and joint aches, and it's antimicrobial and antibacterial. Now, this is definitely a subtropical plant. It likes zone 10 to 12, but it does very well in containers with well-drained soil. And to sow it, you have to soak the seeds first. For about a week, you would change the water daily. After sowing, they usually germinate in about 2 weeks, and these plants grow between 6.5 to 23 feet tall, a multi-stem shrub. But of course, you can keep them pruned, especially if you're not in zone 10 to 12 and you've got them in a container, as I will definitely be doing, and moving them somewhere warmer in the winter. You can keep them pruned as low as you want. You can start harvesting the leaves to use them for tea or for dye in just 4 or 5 years. And I think this one, along with Job's Tears, just sounds like a super fun plant to grow. Are you going to join me in growing it, or any of these other seeds? Please let me know in the comments if any of these tropical seeds have sparked your fancy and you're going to try growing them yourself this year. I will definitely keep you updated on how mine do, when they germinate, how they grow, and how they handle the winter, and how I decide to handle keeping them through the winter. And now, if you stay tuned all the way to the end, let me give you that update on my chicks. So there are 4 of the chicks. They are now 2 weeks old. I thought I'd give you a little peek at them and how their feathers are starting to come in. Aren't they adorable? They've grown so fast in just 2 weeks. Yes, that gray one back in the corner is a lavender Orpington. I've separated them into 3 different crate brooders now, so I've got 4 in 2 of them, and the 3rd crate is longer, so I have 6 in that one. How are you doing, Chick Chick? You can see their feathers coming in. They're very cute, very curious. one of the lavender Orpingtons. Here's my longer crate with 6 birds in it. They're all doing quite well. All healthy, all friendly, some more than others. Just because I don't have enough time in the day to, pick them all up, snuggle them, talk to them. I try to, make the rounds, but there are a few that are my favorites. Let me introduce you to the one that really likes me the most and always runs to me whenever I remove the wire that I use to cover the tops of these open crates so they don't fly out. Her name is Madame Curie. So I've turned the heat lamp off. They don't really use the heat lamps to snuggle under much anymore because the room that I have them in is quite warm and they are getting their feathers in. Now, if I put my hand down here, you'll see which one is my friend. Yep, here she comes. So say hello to Madame Curie. She is a very curious chick. Aren't you? Aren't you? Yeah, you're so curious. You like looking around at everything. You like climbing on my shoulder. You're definitely the most outgoing and calm, aren't you? Yeah. Cutie. Are we buddies? We definitely are. And that's why I keep the wire on top, because otherwise at this point they would try to fly out. Well, the sun has come out, so I'm gonna go get to work in my garden. I have some seedlings I need to transplant and some weeding of Bermuda grass that never ends, that's trying to creep in on the edges of my garden. And in the next day or two, when it's not raining and it's hopefully a little sunny, I will do a March garden tour for all of you. But until then, you guys have a great week. And remember, you can create the garden and the life that you want, that you dream of. So why not start right now? See you next time, everyone.